enigmatic and charismatic. Gotta live static, gotta get at it. Never pragmatic, cause we live tragic. I can't live average, to be alive's magic. Turn it up in the back cause I'm grabbing everything I want, get in my way and I'm stabbing. I'll be moving crowds till I'm 6 feet napping. They need another fix, hooked on like an addict. I got my eyes on the prize and it's changing lives. I wanna live till I die, make a difference, right? I wanna give those in need a reason to fight. I wanna live every day like it's my last night. I wanna change how we play the game, rearrange all the pieces till they say my name. Push an agenda against doing what they say. I wanna stand up and start a revolution. I wanna 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 start a revolution.
I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I push my mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python. Grab what I like real fast, stroke until I have everything I attack. Everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every moment
Hello and welcome to my Mind of Your Matter. My name is Rick. Let me get this right camera on. Here we go. How you guys doing? It's a horrible, crazy Monday. Well, it's not really horrible, but it was a very busy Monday for me, and I'm tired. Had a long day. Got a lot of things accomplished. Went saw the chiropractor. That was very painful. Today was painful. Out of all the days, today was like it wasn't fun at the chiropractors. When is it fun? There's really isn't a day that's fun, but there's better days than what I went through today. They put all these like tens unit and they put all this like other devices and shock me pretty much and try to like shock the muscle into responding, and I wasn't happy when I came out because I was hurting more than I did coming in. So I'm hoping, maybe more pain, more gain, like they say, right? And the pain is not fun. Today has been a horrible day for pain. But I hope your day's gone good. I'm here rolling up my medicine real quick. Running a little bit behind. Ding, 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 ding. Here we go. Got it all nice and ready for me for tonight's show. I just rolled up one. I may roll up another one in the show. I don't know. Let's see how I feel. But like I said, I had a really busy day. So I'm happy to be here to unwind and chill. And let's see who's here. Go ahead and goes here. Oh, what's up, Chloe? How you doing? Terry? How you guys doing tonight? I am so tired. I know it's the energy from the sun because the sun released another X flare, and it's a G3 that's coming towards us. Some areas may be able to see the northern lights. Tomorrow, I believe, it's going to be tomorrow night. But I'm already feeling the effects of it. I kind of feel like really drained. Like my energy today was pretty like shitty energy, not good energy. Like just very fatigued, very tired. I know there's other people out there feeling the same. I don't know if it's because the weather, if it's because I don't know, maybe I haven't seen snow yet, so I'm kind of like feeling like shit. Because we haven't seen any snowfall here yet in my neck of the woods, and I'm hoping we'll see some soon. Hey, miss you too. How you been? You doing good? I'm gonna be putting in my order soon. I'm trying to figure out everything here for Christmas, but I'm definitely gonna put in an order for crystals. I'm gonna put in for a mystery box. Actually, I'm probably gonna end up buying the $100 mystery box. So just to give you a heads up, Chloe, there's a good chance I'm gonna purchase the $100 box. And let me see. I got some news for us to watch. So let's start off first with, I guess, with the weather, because I was talking about the weather and how freaking cold it's been. And I want to see snow. Where's the snow coming? It should be coming. It'll be coming in a few weeks. And I'm hoping we get a white Christmas because I love white Christmas. It just puts me, like, when I see snow and it's like in the holiday season, it actually like triggers me inside into feeling a little bit better, But right now, I have not been triggered. The only thing I'm feeling is pain, and it's not fun at all. But let me set up. Let me set up these videos here. Got a couple of videos for us to watch. Actually, I'm gonna have to open this up real quick and then resize everything because I got a lot of. Let's go ahead and resize this one. Actually, bring this back to me. I do got a few videos for us to watch, so give me a second while I'm just setting this up real quick. Just got a few videos. There will probably be add-ons. There will be add-ons. It's just whatever comes this way, I'll try to show it to you guys. Let's see if there's anything breaking. No. Okay. All right. Let's see. Another plane, a little plane crash in Florida. Interstate 95 shut down in Florida because of a plane crash. Cessna. I'm looking right now. These small planes. Why are these planes falling out of the sky? Is the question, right? Like, this is the questions that we all should be asking. Why are planes lately have been falling from the sky? Is it something to do with the sun and the energy that the sun is taking away from, like, and causing these planes to go down? Like, what is causing these planes to crash? Let me set it up so we could watch together. Like it's weird how all this is happening. It is very weird. Actually, you know what? Since I'm talking about this one, this is gonna be number one. Freaking StreamYard with a fucking audio. I'm sorry for cursing, but StreamYard does not help. It's just every single time there's always a problem with their audio. But I'm doing my best to try to figure this out. Close that. All right. And this is the plane that I'm talking about that has crashed on I-95. This is coming from JLR Investigates. But here's another plane. Wow, what a lucky landing too, because that's a sound barrier wall. And this is, of course, the highway, but look where it landed, like right in the middle. How the hell this plane landed like that? Yo, Chloe's gonna roll one up. Yeah, I got one rolled up, girl. I'm about to light it up because I need to.
We're gonna get this flight path up here in a second too.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
So this is the current.
The
look
order.
at this. This is what I'm saying. A complete traffic nightmare.
Yeah, it's gonna be a traffic nightmare
for I-95 in Brevard County.
Brevard.
Mile marker 201.
Ugh.
And the FlightAware literally has this thing. It started out at Merritt Island, and it just plunged. It's owned by Tailwinds Flying LLC, and it's a Beechcraft 55 Baron.
But how the hell did it crash?
So
like right in the middle.
It's a Beechcraft aircraft.
That's what it's driving me crazy.
And it's owned by Tailwinds Flying LLC. Let me see what this company is.
A whole lot of luck.
The tail of it that we saw on the interstate was N95KC.
But I'm glad you're finally home. You worked from 9 o'clock, right? Until now?
So let me find out what the company is to this aircraft.
Yeah, just put it on there.
Tailwinds Flying LLC can refer to a few aviation entities, primarily Tailwind Air, a seaplane commuter charter service. Tailwinds Pilot Training. This is pilot training.
Pilot training.
No, that's the same company name, but that's in Mobile. Let me see if they actually, if this is it.
I don't know, but
it could be.
All these planes coming down.
This could be a pilot training company. called Tailwinds Flying LLC. Holy smokes. Beach crafts are supposed to land on the beach. Every time I put in this company, I'm just seeing a bunch of like air flying aviation schools. So they just send some kid up there to learn how to fly and he crashes on the 995.
That's wild.
This is what it might seem like here. Could be the situation here. Literally a plane landed on I-95.
Yeah, that's what's, and then no car hit it. That's even more magical than anything. Because I tell you right now, I don't know how that car or that damn plane didn't get hit by a car. Crazy.
Is that crazy or what?
Yeah, it is. It's freaking crazy. It shouldn't even be like how lucky. Look right in the middle. How
I'm gonna try to get information about
perfect of a landing
they actually put a
can you
news
do?
report, but it was only like about 30 seconds. A plane crash on I-95 in Brevard County.
This is
No
freaking
information
luck.
about the current condition of the pilot, but it appears to be 2 people on board.
Wow. And no cars hit it.
With this information, 2 people aboard.
That is something else.
We'll go back to the traffic cam too in a bit.
All right. Well, we're gonna keep it moving, and we gotta keep it moving. We got the weather to go.
In today's video, I am a very, very happy guy. It's snowing outside as I'm recording this. I got some footage with Lady outside, our dog. If you want to check out our vlog channel, we are going to be making some more vlogs soon with some of the footage from this storm in it.
Lady
Check it
looks
out
so
on the top
pretty.
right corner of the screen, just for those of you that aren't aware. Let's go ahead and move forward into the pattern.
Yeah, I believe he's in the
a
Carolinas.
potential mid-Atlantic and northeastern snowstorm for the upcoming weekend. So kind of the Friday, Saturday timeframe. And this is a timeframe that we've talked about to watch. And I'm just making that the focal point of today's video because I know so many of you guys up there really.
I mean, I believe maintenance have been very lacking this year with all aviation
potential risk. Now, we are going to be tracking this within our Discord server.
Seems like everything has been like a little
so check that out as well in the description and pinned comment down below. Let's just roll through it though. That was a lot of information up front, but we do have this snowstorm, as you can see, going on for North Carolina and Virginia. Really, really overperforming. For those of you that live up near Williamsburg, Wakefield, Virginia, kind of south of Richmond, maybe in Richmond, that kind of area. Let us know how you did with the storm. I'm hearing a lot of reports already as of 5 p.m.
I mean, we're supposed to get a clipper
3, 4,
here.
5, 6 inches of snow. So let us know how you guys are doing out there. That storm kind of comes to an end. And then we have this clipper system for the Midwest and Great Lakes. And this, for those of you that are in our Discord server or thinking about joining, this will be our next contest. I'm going to launch this tonight for this clipper system rolling through. We're probably going to do it in 2 halves because, as you can see, for the day on the 10th, we have some mid-Atlantic and northeastern snowfall going on. So that'll be a separate kind of segment of the contest as well. Some really cold air enters in the pattern with that. So we kind of get our initial setup for the potential mid-Atlantic and northeast snowstorm. Right around Thursday the 11th, we have another really strong ridge out west and trough in the east here. The perfect ingredients for a clipper system to kind of end up offshore here, bringing a lot of these areas the chance of snow. Now, as we kind of get going with the pattern, we see that clipper system with the northern stream entering down. As of Friday the 12th, we have some snowfall in the Rockies. That's kind of a separate piece of energy. And then we have this clipper-like system here for the Midwest down into the Ohio Valley. And we're seeing snowfall in there for Friday the 12th. And we can see that that one ends up being some snow showers for the Northeast. And then this one that we were talking about a minute ago in the Rockies starts to become a clipper as well. This one bringing some snowfall to the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and entering in with a new segment of the trough.
You see this going to get some snow on the 14th.
The ones that we've been seeing down here, bringing
maybe
the
13th, 14th
snowfall. This one's developing kind of offshore of where we're seeing snowfall right now.
That'll be good
Virginia,
snow for us in
Delmarva,
Connecticut.
but it's further north, and we start to see snowfall for Northern Virginia, DC, Philly, Delaware, New Jersey, and New York City, basically all of eastern Pennsylvania. And it does look like this one has some good lift up the coast, and we could see some snowfall there in southern New England. Now, the models have
we
been
had a
iffy
lot of
up
plane
until
crashes.
these 12Z model runs today, and then they started to get locked in on this outlook. We're going to need to track it closely, which of course
we're
we'll
gonna get
update
snow
you guys in tomorrow's video on all of this. We will
Saturday
be going
into
over this
Sunday.
within the Discord server.
I
Already a
hope we
ton
get
of
some
people are
snow.
starting
It
to
looks
talk
like we're
about
gonna
this
get some
potential
snow.
threat. So just trying to dish out some more ways you guys can get more frequent information.
It
We
would
can
be
see that
nice
one does
if we
impact
get
a lot
it
of New
on
England before
Sunday.
moving offshore as a moderate to maybe
Like a little
major,
clipper coming
somewhere in
down.
the plowable range of a snowstorm, potentially for the Mid-Atlantic and
from the
Northeast.
Great
These
Lakes.
Miller B nor'easters that turn from clippers into a nor'easter up the coast, they can be really, really hefty. Some of our larger snowstorms in the 2000s and 2010s were Miller Bs. Now, we do get this kind of brief waviness in the jet stream. I mean, try to track it right here. This is around the 17th here, Wednesday the 17th. So this is around 10 days out. So take it with a grain of salt. But it gets really, really wonky here for a minute. And then we
it was cold this morning.
Something
It's supposed to be
potentially
colder
going on
tonight.
mid that
Supposed to
next
be like
week.
9
Thursday the 18th. Still take it with a grain of
tonight.
salt, but we do get this southern
With wind
stream
chill like 0.
really infused into the pattern, which is what's been missing a lot of the time with this colder period we've had. And it looks very close to coming together for something here for these eastern areas. We do get another clipper system for the Midwest, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic. So the models are still showing 3 or 4 more of those. And then we do see a warmer period. I say warmer because it's probably close to normal. It's not like exceptionally warm
Sunday
or cold or anything. But then as we move past the 20th, it looks like we do get back into a trough in the east pattern. We do ridge back up here. It kind of starts to move back and forth.
That's all I want.
A lot of our long-range teleconnections and everything point towards us staying cold here for a while. And as we're reaching kind of like the 18th, 19th, 20th time frame, it does point towards a warmer period. But everything for the Christmas period and afterwards is pointing towards something similar to what we've seen recently. Very cold. And as of a storm pattern, we can't know for sure this
Well, it's too
out.
far
It
away.
does
I mean,
seem
that's
like it would be
subject to
favorable.
change. Everything we're seeing
If
right
the
there,
MJO is in the
it
correct
could be
phase,
totally
it's going to help
different.
with precipitation as well. We
So
have
that's
some
way too
things
far
going on
to
in the
forecast.
ENSO, like some potential turns towards an El Nino.
I
That
hope we
could
get a
start to
little
get that
snow.
southern stream infusing more storms along this as well. So lots and lots of good things looking towards the future. The GFS model, we can see this clipper system again roll through, bring some eastern snowfall as well. And then we get these kind of clipper systems as well as this one that ends up being a Miller B. This one's a little bit more intense than the European model. It's hitting kind of 4 a.m. on Sunday the 14th here. We see Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, Northern Virginia, D.C., Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, New York City, and then into southern New England. This one's a little bit heftier, like I mentioned, than the European model showed. But we have a similar storm on the exact same time period. That's a really good sign to see both of these models in alignment on that. They both also show a milder period. Again, milder, not super mild, really, around the late 18th, 19th into like the 20th. And we do get some more nor'easter type looks here around that 22nd time frame. We get some northeastern snowfall, also more of a Midwest Great Lakes system happening simultaneously. And as we kind of move forward with this, we could see really, really cold air arrives actually just for Christmas Eve here on the 24th. What's cool is today and moving forward, we're going to have Christmas Eve and Christmas Day kind of in our crosshairs where we're going to be able to see it. Of course, 15 days out on a model can be really subject to change, but it is going to be interesting to get to pick up the pieces for the Christmas time period over the coming days. Now, the total snowfall in the European model is okay for the Mountainous West. Really, really well for pretty much everywhere in the Midwest, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley,
I hope we get the snow.
Northeast. There's no way around it. Maybe like the DC, Northern Virginia,
But
kind of Maryland area is a little
23rd is
here,
too
but
far
this is
away
a
to
vast
forecast
improvement
right
from
now.
Yesterday's model runs. Then the
Hope we get
GFS
a
model, which
good
is at the beginning
snowstorm.
of the model run. Here we go. Shows some similar things. Again, no Sierra Nevada mountain snowfall here at all in GFS. Very strange, but Mountainous West overall doing okay outside of the California mountains and Nevada mountains. We do see same kind of picture here, Midwest, Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, all above average pretty much. There is that little dry slot a little further south on the GFS model run here, but it's much better than yesterday where we saw DC to Boston having none. We're going to have to see how these models progress over the coming days, but they do both show some interesting snowfall opportunities, particularly in this area. Heart of the Mid-Atlantic into the southern New England area, which again is the #1 spot where I know so many of you have been itching for snowfall for years. It has been below normal in some of these areas. So this would be incredible news. And I'm really happy to see this for you guys, and I hope that it does work out. Now, with all that being said, be sure to subscribe. We upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
All right, let's keep it moving. We got some more news to watch. Some Jason A.
I think just like based upon like everything that I know and have read and believe about the character of God leads me to believe in more so of the idea of eternal destruction rather than eternal torment.
Yeah. And this is such great relief to someone like me. I don't want to believe in conscious eternal torment for anybody, no matter how wicked they are. If the scriptures taught it, I would believe it because this is the word of God. But if it doesn't teach that, we are severely misrepresenting the character of God if we tell people that. That is a great sin and mistake, to misrepresent the character of God. So I don't want to do that on the right or on the left. I want to accurately represent his character. And if conscious eternal torment is not a thing, that's actually a great relief. And I would have joy in correcting somebody who says that the reason that they're not a Christian is because of this merciless God who tortures people forever. And I could say that's not what the Bible teaches. Good news. Still not good. You don't want to go there, but there is mercy even in his judgment. And I do believe that that's what the scriptures teach.
If you're interested in understanding more about this viewpoint that may be new to you, we'll put a link in the description below to a lecture by Edward Fudge called The Fire That Consumes.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for working through this with us and going on this journey into this dangerous conversation. And I hope that you guys are getting into the Christmas spirit. One of the ways that you can get more into the Christmas spirit and bring more light into the darkness is by joining us for the 100,000 strong initiative. It's a giving campaign for Christmas that my wife and I created. It's beautiful. It's a way to bless deserving charities and meet people in need.
You see, Jesus is the only way to heaven, and therefore we have no other alternative. There is an alternative to heaven. It's called eternal damnation. It's called hell, the lake of fire, and the number of different ways it's described. And I would say that Jesus spoke the most about hell of any other speaker or writer in the Bible, by the way. He referred to it more than anybody else referred to it. He was the one who understood what it was better than anyone else. He could look right into it and see who was there and what was taking place. And he gave frequent descriptions of what hell would be like. He repeatedly implied that hell was a very real, very horrible, and an inescapable place. And that was the ultimate fate that would fall those who reject Christ. I mean, his own words, he said it was a place of unquenchable, eternal, everlasting fire, a blanket of outer darkness and unending torment and torture. He said that it would be where there were endless weeping and gnashing of teeth. In other words, a deep and useless regret and remorse and recrimination. Daniel said it was a place of everlasting shame and contempt. Paul called it the place of everlasting destruction. And in chapter 14, we'll read later on in verse 11, he said, their torment ascends forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night. You know, there's not one positive comment about hell. Nor do we find in the Bible that its reality is ever questioned. Yet, as early as the 2nd century, there began efforts to minimize and to kind of eliminate hell as a part of Christian theology. One of the earliest, maybe the earliest, the first one I was able to come across, was a Greek who lived in Anatolia, which is basically modern-day Turkey today. That used to be all Greek territory, Greek-speaking people. And he was a theologian by the name of Marcion of Sinope. What he did is as most false teachers end up doing, they tried to improve on Christianity. You ever notice when you talk with people who are in various heterodox or heretical groups that they say, well, you believe this, but this is really what God said. And they improvement. And one of the most common improvements is, let's get rid of the nasty aspects of hell, because people just don't like to talk about that. And the fact you don't like to talk about it is understandable, but what he did was he syncretized Christianity with a very popular philosophy among the Greeks called Gnosticism. And it became Christianized Gnosticism. And essentially he did, and you may have heard this phrase before, what he sought to do was unhinge the gospel from the Old Testament. He said the Old Testament was written by the evil demiurge. It's the creator God is an evil being, and Jesus Christ is the true God. And then he began to redact the scriptures themselves. In fact, he only accepted a portion of Paul's letters, and he made his own redacted version of the Gospels, taking out the things he didn't like and leaving in the things that he did like. And you ended up with a truncated gospel, a gospel full of how great you are and how wonderful you will become as you follow his leadership. He is the first one to only reveal and judgment and eternal torment. And edit the scriptures. So 1,000 years since then, there have been a number of others who have kind of followed in his lead, and they've often a lot of various ideas about what hell is. I mean, first of all, hell is not literal, it's only a metaphor. And I have to simply say that there's nothing in the text anywhere that ever implies that we're supposed to take this metaphorically, that it symbolizes something else, that it isn't to be taken literally. Usually you can tell when something is referred to metaphorically and when something is referred to as literally. And people who don't like what the Bible says at certain points always use the metaphorical argument. And then they'll follow up saying, well, in my opinion, I think what this passage is saying, can I just go on record saying, I am not interested in your opinion. I'm just interested in Jesus'. Jesus is real clear on this. So to say anything other than that is just to be dishonest. So stop being intellectually dishonest. Just admit that you don't want to hear it, you don't like it, or you don't believe it outright, but don't pretend that Jesus said something different than what he said. That's why I always find it's interesting when people will form these religious movements around Jesus, they just don't take anything that Jesus says literally. And that becomes, so what's the point? Or there's also the idea that hell is not eternal, it's only a temporary place. Kind of a holdover, a limbo, the idea of going into this place where you can work off your sins over a period of time, and hopefully you've got lots of family and friends who are burning candles for you, because somehow that has a way of burning up sins too. And believe me, I put candles all over my house. It hasn't helped a bit. Or there's this idea that, well, yeah, people go to hell, but it's not all that bad. In fact, C.S. Lewis sarcastically summarized this view by saying, hell is a rather drab, inconvenient, and almost pleasant place whose inmates can take a day trip to the outskirts of heaven. You know, I think in his mind, it's kind of like sitting in an English park in the middle of the afternoon in early spring. It's rather pleasant, but not much is going on, which explains in many ways the royal family. Or number 4, there's the idea that sinful dead are annihilated at death. Now, that sounds so wonderful. Well, if you don't come to Christ, when you die, you're gone, because from dust we've come and dust we return. What's the problem with that? it assumes that your soul is material, not spiritual. And yet even now, neurologists are puzzled because they realize that there are people who have very limited mental, I wouldn't say capacity, but their cranial size is very small. Even parts of their brain are missing, and yet they seem to have complete consciousness. One guy had only 1 millimeter of cranium in his head. Usually it's about 4 centimeters. But he only had 1 centimeter. And he's a mathematical genius with an IQ of 126, and they're going, he's just got a bunch of jello in there. And that was good for me because I considered most mathematicians, especially ones who work for the federal government, to just have a bunch of jello in their head. But, that's how you become Secretary of Treasury, I guess. But the whole point is that the spirit is immortal and eternal. It never dies. God said he created you with a soul. Your soul is that spiritual dimension. And so now they're beginning to say that awareness, consciousness is not simply limited to my head. They think it's inside of us, and they're trying to figure out the mathematics behind it right now, which I find humorous. Because God says it's not material, it's spiritual. And soul never dies. Soul never perishes. That's why people have these life after death experiences. They talk about leaving their body, can perfectly recount. In fact, the latest study that was done on this with over a large sample of people who had life after death experiences, and they found that they could recall things that had taken place after their death around them to a 98% accuracy. They literally were recounting things that only a person who was in the room. In fact, one person where they were found out later, they were trying to find a piece of surgical equipment that had been misplaced. And he said, well, I know where it is. It's in that drawer over there. I mean, he's already dead and he's come back, and suddenly they open the drawer and there it is. How did he do that? He's the David Copperfield of dead people. I mean, oh my gosh. It's such a convenient untruth to say when you're dead, and that's it. I don't think any of us can even conceive of ourselves of being non-existent. I often challenge people saying, just sit back and think about yourself not being. I mean, it's not hard for me to conceive of not being invited. That happens frequently. But not being, not having presence. And so that's why you don't find that many people really camp on that idea for very long. It's a good idea for people they don't know and they don't like. And they're gone. But it's not a good idea when we try to apply it to our own self. Because we know that God, as Solomon said, has put eternity inside of our hearts. And then there's a fifth one. That's universalism, that everyone goes to heaven regardless, which is really hard to accept because that would include all of history's worst and most nefarious actors. Yeah, we're all in heaven. Hey, I got a place right here next to this guy. His name's Adolf. Great guy. Needs to grow his mustache out, but he's a great guy. I mean, your brain just goes because it's so ridiculous. Justice demands that evil be punished. Why does the angel begin declaring the everlasting gospel? That means this is the gospel that's from before time and will exist after time. This is God's emblematic message to time and eternity. Why does he begin by saying, fear God? The same reason that Job and Solomon and the psalmist repeatedly tell us that the fear of the Lord is where wisdom begins. In other words, you don't really begin to look at life with clear eyes until you realize that God is Lord and Master of all this and created it. Until you come to that conclusion, you're going to always misinterpret what's going on.
All right. Let's keep it moving because we got some stuff. Let me set up some of the videos that I have add on, and I think tonight's show is going to probably be 2 hours because my body's really achy and it hurts like my kind of like my shoulder, um, my neck. It's just really hurting. So I don't want to sit here for too long. But I do have some videos here for us to watch. So let's go ahead and see what else I have here. Okay, we could drop that. All right. Check this out. I didn't even cook tonight. I ordered Chinese. Yo, Chinese. Hey, Chinese food is not bad. I like Chinese food. I like fried rice. Like me some fried rice. And I like the beef and broccoli. I like beef and broccoli. All right. Let's see what Marjorie, how Trump calls her, Marjorie Trader Green. Oh no, the traitor. Why she's traitor? What's going on? You know, there's the swamp. Something's really dark is happening in the swamp, and she knows it. You know, but the thing is that she's trying to play both sides. You know, she's like a Republican that wants to become a Democrat, but not like a deep far left, like on the border left. That's what like kind of like Marjorie is standing. I don't know. Let's listen. It's crazy, man. I hate when they do these little music. It sounds so stupid. But I don't trust neither side of the party, to be honest with you, because they're all part of the same bullshit game. And is anything ever change? No, nothing really changes. It's all the same bullshit. Doesn't matter who's president. It's they all following a narrative, and it's all a script. Everything's a script. And you see Trump labeled Green a traitor. Yeah, they got that stupid music. Um, that's a funny comment there. I mean, Trump has a lot of time to be writing a lot of little messages and so forth. I mean, he should be focusing more on the task ahead of us, not worried about what people are talking about and trying to chime in. These are distractions. All these people are all distractions. She's a big distraction. You know what I mean? But Trump is falling into this trap, you know? I don't think they're going to let Netflix buy WB. I don't think they're going to let that happen because it's going to monopolize like, they don't want it to monopolize, and I don't think Netflix should be buying WB. And plus that it's just not, I don't know. Something's weird about Netflix and how they came up and how they are dominating. And let me tell you something, there's a lot of Democratic used to be's in Netflix shareholders and part of the board. So do your homework on Netflix because Netflix is a very odd company. They're very, very, very odd. I think they're still playing the music shit. You see, they're still playing the music shit. So, Yeah, this is just all drama. This is all the distractions that we're going through. Let's listen in.
Got on the attack with a post targeting CNN anchor, Caitlin Collins. The president wrote, Caitlin Collins of fake news CNN, always stupid and nasty. Asked me why the new ballroom was costing more money than originally thought 1 year ago. I said because it's going to be double the size and the quality of finishes and interiors has been brought to the highest level. Josh, how do you see the the president's relationship with the media this time around? Is it more of the same, more of what we saw in the first term, or has there been a shift in that dynamic?
So first of all, let me just say something about Caitlin Collins, because Caitlin Collins is actually a unique individual in a certain way. Caitlin Collins is not just someone who is part of the left-wing chattering class, the left-wing homogenous group thing, echo chamber here in the United States. Caitlin Collins actually used to be on the right, at least purportedly. At least she came up, she was trained through right-of-center journalistic institutions. Specifically, she had a stint with the Daily Caller. I think she actually might have gotten her start at the Daily Caller, if memory serves. So she's something, traitor, I think would be a slightly overstating the point. But I think that there's a certain type of journalist who goes from the nominal putative right to become part of the deeply anti-American, anti-Western civilization left. There's a certain part of that I know that I personally, that gets really under my skin. So I can only imagine, frankly, what Donald Trump, who's at the eye of the storm, is thinking when he sees someone like Caitlin Collins, who is really just, again, acting in like borderline traitorous fashion, frankly, over the course of her career there. But this is part of the whole contempt and mockery approach there. I mean, I do think that his approach towards the media more generally in the second term is even more adversarial, even more hostile. And there's a very good reason for that, which is that the media, since Donald Trump left the office in January 2021, so he came back 4 years later, I mean, they were deeply complicit in the attempts to incarcerate him, to bankrupt him, to throw him in jail, to ruin his life, essentially. Yeah, the media was complicit every single step of the way in the unprecedented, completely historically unmatched attempt to just destroy this man, to destroy this former, and now we know at that time, then future president of the United States there. So the media was complicit every step of the way. I think that you're frankly seeing the fallout of that now in this second term. We know from Isaac Newton, the 17th century physicist, that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. But we also know, read it from Donald Trump himself, that when someone punches at you, you punch back twice as hard. So, let's not call it Newton's law of physics. Let's call it Donald Trump's law of PR, which is what we're seeing play out here in the second term.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, but also you gotta be respectful too, right? In a ways. But these Democrats reporters like CNN, they're not really fair and balanced at all. They're not really a good company right now. I mean, all those news agencies are losing money. I mean, the only one that's probably making something is probably Fox right now. But these businesses right now, it's not a good time. I mean, even this holiday season doesn't feel like any special. You know what I mean? There's anything special about this holiday season. Like, I don't feel the excitement. I don't feel the, like, it's Christmas coming. Like, no, I don't feel it. I mean, what you guys feel? Let me know in the chat, because I don't feel it. The only thing Terry's like, I don't feel like cooking. That's why he ordered Chinese. Oh no. She's also a double agent. Yo, Netflix is also trying to buy HBO and Paramount as well. Yeah, that's just gonna be a monopoly. Netflix and Disney's are trying to monopolize. Yeah, every production. Yeah, I agree. But you can see Disney is really failing bad. Their movies suck. Like, that's why, like, when I don't even want people to go see Badlands, because they could wait till it comes out like on streaming to watch it, because it was a movie that would put you to sleep, because you gotta read all these subtitles, and it's like the whole pretty much the movie is like subtitled, and it's just, I don't know, it's just not for me. really, to be going to no movie theater to read on a screen from so far back, and I'm like, that sucks. You know, especially people who just go in there to watch the movie and they're a little tired, and it puts them in a sleepy state, and they end up falling asleep. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's see what this is about. I don't know, but we'll find out. Let's find out right now. Put the sound on it.
About the U.S. attorney now resigning, Alina Habba stepping down for her role there, saying she wants to protect the stability and integrity of the office. So some breaking news right now here about this, as Alina Habba, the former personal attorney to the president, said Monday she's resigning as the top federal prosecutor for New Jersey, giving up her fight to stay in the job after an appeals court she had been serving in the post unlawfully. She did take to social media to reference what was going on, her decision, saying, for the past 5 years, I fought for justice on behalf of the American people, and in my tenure under our great Attorney General Pam Bondi, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, we made New Jersey safer.
Attorney
Pam
in
had his
New
first
Jersey.
murder-free summer in 50 years. We drove down crime, it took violent offenders off the streets, caught terrorists, and put away child predators. They go on to say that as a result of the Third Circuit's ruling and to protect the stability and integrity of the office, which I love, I have decided to step down in my role as the U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey. But do not mistake compliance for surrender. This decision will not weaken the Justice Department, and it will not weaken with me. So this coming in, some big news, as Habba said she would remain with the Justice Department as a senior advisor to Attorney General Pam Bondi. Habba was appointed in March to serve a temporary term as acting U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, a powerful post charged with enforcing federal crime and civil law. Once a partner in a small New Jersey firm, Habba was among Trump's most visible legal defenders during the 4 years he was out of power, representing him in court and frequently appearing on TV as his legal spokesperson. She had limited federal court experience, and New Jersey's 2 Democratic senators indicated they would block the confirmation in the Senate. When her term expired in July, a panel of federal judges appointed one of her subordinates in the role, but Bondi promptly fired the replacement, blaming Habba's removal as, quote, politically minded judges. A lower court's judge's finding that Habba was unlawfully serving in the position soon triggered a month-long legal standoff, prompting confusion, delays within the New Jersey federal court system. And today, the big news, she is resigning from that role. We're hearing comments from the Attorney General herself, Pam Bondi, on social media, saying following the flawed Third Court Circuit,
Holidays are literally dead at this point. I agree, Terry. I don't feel it this year.
I'm saddened to accept Alina's resignation. The court's ruling has made it untenable.
That's highly debatable. Yeah, great AG. I don't think so.
Designed to bring violent criminals to justice. These judges should not be able to counter.
I don't know. I don't trust
the president's.
a lot of these people. I just don't trust. You know,
the executive branch's core
I
responsibilities.
I feel like this is the corruption. You know, they corrupt everything.
Further review of this decision, and we are confident it will be reversed. Alina intends to return to lead the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of New Jersey if this occurs. And we're also getting some more information here on Live Now from Fox. As you can see this, a post from the Washington Post saying Habba, President Trump's embattled pick for top federal prosecutor in New Jersey, announced that she will step down after a federal appeals court ruled that she had been serving in that role unlawfully. All right, I mean.
Okay, well, I guess she's how would you say, shit out of luck? I mean, she should know, you know, the law, right? She should know what's going on and what she can and can't do, and yeah, that's just weird, right? It's just fucking weird. All right, let's keep it moving to Liberal Hive Mind. So let's watch this episode.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Here's your meme of the day, brought to you by 5mind.com. You know, it's really fascinating. It seems like we're almost caught in this death loop, this socialist revolution that's running on repeat over and over again. You know, I guess the question is, how many times until people learn their lesson? But nope, here we go again. You know, it's absolutely insane watching a city like New York City going in so quickly to run the exact same experiment over again. Somehow this time expecting a completely different result, a different ending. Mamdani is making some of the biggest moves yet since winning his election, and it's literally just a woke rerun, the same idiotic woke nonsense that got us here in the first place. That's what I mean by this woke death loop. Here we are with all of these new fancy socialist ideas, a new revolution for the people, as if we haven't tried this to extreme failure over and over again across the globe. Nope, we've got to do it again. New York City is off to a real rough start here, folks. Let me show you guys exactly how rough, but first, this video is brought to you guys by a sponsor, so let's play that clip. This video is brought to you by Raycon. Well, folks, part of my job is being chronically online, and of course, that means staying constantly plugged in. So whether I'm going for a walk or a bike ride or getting into some task at home, I like to stay tuned in to what's going on, listening to the news, the best podcasts, or my favorite music, of course, and that's where the Raycon Everyday Earbud Classics come in handy. I'm telling you guys, it's been years, and I always keep these in my pocket. Of course, you know, like the link. A huge thank you to Raycon. Now back to the video. Well, here we are. Mamdani's first order of business as apparent comrade mayor-elect, really hitting us with his top priorities list here. He now hits us with an order to stop Eric Adams' homelessness encampment sweeps.
Homeless encampments are going to be allowed under the Mamdani administration. The mayor-elect says he's going to halt a policy put in place by Mayor Eric Adams to break up those encampments. Adams instituted the policy not long after taking office when homeless people were being linked to crime. As a result, police were instructed to cite people for quality of life violations and break up the encampments.
Connecting those New Yorkers to housing, whether it's supportive housing, whether it's rental housing, whatever kind of housing it is. If you are not connecting homeless New Yorkers to the housing that they so desperately need, then you cannot deem anything you're doing to be a success.
Mamdani also says people will not be involuntarily committed except in the rarest of circumstances.
Of course. Of course, nothing says leftist utopia. We're all going to live in a beautiful, futuristic, communist city like bringing back the homelessness tents. Let's bring back the tent cities. Nothing says utopia like Fentanyl Alley. Yeah, the priority here is not to clean the city. It's not to restore order. No, it's to re-enable homelessness on the streets. It's to hand over the sidewalks to the country's homeless drug users. Right back to the mindset of thinking that it's no problem if people are smoking crack at the same place where kids are getting picked up for school in their school bus. I mean, what a quick reversal and how fast things moved. I mean, last election, the top issue in New York was crime and disorder. That's what all the polls were saying. We saw the homelessness, the no cash bail, the random assaults on the streets and in the subway, the Tren de Aragua gang members operating across New York City streets, cartel and gang infestation, human trafficking, drug trafficking, homelessness and despair across the city running rampant with absolutely no order or enforcement. It was an absolute woke disaster on the streets, and then boom, like a flash, apparently everybody, at least in Manhattan, just forgets. 2025 now rolls around, and here we go. Let's elect a Zoran Mamdani. Let's put the homeless back on the streets. And now with the second order of business.
Last weekend, ICE attempted to raid Canal Street and detain our immigrant members. As mayor, I'll protect the rights of every single New Yorker, and that includes the more than 3 million immigrants who call this city their home. But we can all stand up to ICE if you know your rights. If you encounter ICE, these are the things that every New Yorker should know. First, ICE cannot enter into private spaces like your home, school, or private area of your workplace without a judicial warrant signed by AOC. That looks like this.
AOC was doing.
If ICE does not have a judicial warrant signed by a judge, you have the right to say, I do not consent to entry, and the right to keep your door closed. Sometimes ICE will show you paperwork that looks like this and tell you that they have the right to arrest you. That is false. ICE is legally allowed to lie to you. but you have the right to remain silent. If you're being detained, you may always ask, "Am I free to go?" repeatedly until they answer you. You are legally allowed to film ICE as long as you do not interfere with an arrest. It is important to remain calm during any interaction with ICE or law enforcement.
What is
Do
it, a
not
training
impede their
manual?
investigation, resist arrest, or run. One last thing. New Yorkers have a constitutional right to protest. And when I'm mayor, we will protect that right. New York will always welcome immigrants. And I will fight each and every day to protect, support, and celebrate our immigrant brothers and sisters.
Continuing the sanctuary city lunacy, and he presents his stance with so much courage, such a righteous tone as if he's doing the right thing. Meanwhile, what's he actually doing? He's essentially supporting a policy that actively creates an underclass of people who are being trafficked, smuggled, exploited, and at the core operating all of it are the cartels and illegal labor networks, the fraudsters, the sex ring operations, the drug networks. We know exactly where these policies lead because the George Floyd BLM era pushed these policies in spades following Joe Biden's auto pen win in 2021. And it was an absolute unmitigated disaster across the nation. And after being led down this ruinous path by the incompetent nincompoop known as Joe Biden, you would think that people would have enough common sense to see all the damage that was caused and then alter their policy preferences accordingly. But no, instead, vote for the same damn thing, round two. The problem, I guess, is also the remedy, right? Maybe a double negative will turn to a positive. No, of course not. We've seen this before. We know exactly how this ends. And so do the Democrats, by the way, which are panicking. I could pretty much guarantee you that, just reading Stephanie Ruhle's body language and her interaction with Kathy Hochul in this clip.
Spent a whole lot of money, but I walk into my pharmacy and everything is on lockdown because I'm not going away. People safe in this town. So you may have done these things, but right now we're not worried we could San Francisco. We'll never be San Francisco.
Please don't let Mamdani turn us into San Francisco. Isn't that so funny? I thought San Francisco was a liberal utopia, a shining beacon at the top of the hill that the country should model itself after. I thought Democrat cities were the absolute best, and anything otherwise was Republican conspiracy theories and rhetoric. Yeah, obviously they know, and they're begging Kathy Hochul, please, we can't go back to this stuff. It ruined us in 2024. And well, I guess too bad for them. It seems the beast that they created is now freaking consuming them. And that beast in this case is the New York City electorate that sent a very clear message. Let's run it back, but 2 times harder this time. This time, rather than communist undertones, it's full-blown communist overtones. No more of this crypto-commie stuff. They're full-blown, baby. That's the beast that Democrats created. And now it's staring them in the freaking face. You know, I just have a feeling that in 2025, turning your city into a third world migrant hellscape, you know, it's just a kind of a hard sell. But I guess that's the Democrat Party's problem to deal with. And oh boy, is Mamdani off to the races. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right, let's keep it moving. Another Jason A.
People sometimes ask me what surprised me most when I became president. It wasn't the workload or, Roswell and where we keep the aliens, that I suspected.
And I speak to people about it. I've had actually meetings on it. People that are very smart and very solid have said they believe there is something out there. And, it makes sense that there could be. I've never been convinced, even despite that. I just, for some reason, it's not my thing.
So you think, 1, he knows, and 2, he's open to transparency on UAPs?
He certainly is very well informed on this issue. Leave it at that. I don't want to get ahead of what the president might want to reveal personally.
But I got to ask you, there's a show that's come out. It's called The Age of Disclosure.
Yeah.
Okay. I know everyone probably, right? Everyone asks you about it.
Sure.
It's a new documentary. We had repeated instances of something operating in the airspace over restricted nuclear facilities. It's not ours. And presidents operate on a need-to-know basis.
Yeah.
Okay, that is so a couple points on it. First of all, I'm not disavowing that. It was an interview that was done almost maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I was in the Senate.
Right.
So it wasn't recent. The second point I would make, I was describing the allegations that people have come forward with. I had people that came forward to us. You know, some of these people were Navy pilots, admirals, generals, whatever, that would come forward and say, that there were programs in the U.S. government that not even presidents were made aware of. So I was describing what people had said to me, not things that I have firsthand knowledge of in that regard. A little bit of selective editing, but it's okay because, you know, you're trying to sell a show there. But the fundamental comments, I haven't seen it, but the clips I've seen and people have shown me are fundamentally true. And that is, there are things, we know this has been documented. There have been things that fly over the airspace, restricted airspace, be it where we're conducting military exercises or the like, and everyone in the government says they're not ours. And so what I worry most about, just me personally, is that some adversary, another country, for example, has developed some asymmetric capability for surveillance or the like that we just are not prepared for. You know, we're looking for missiles and fighter jets, and they're coming at us with drones and balloons. Yeah. Remember, you know, when NORAD turned on the radars and started looking for balloons, all of a sudden they spotted a bunch of balloons flying overhead. 90% of them were innocent, you know, things. A couple of them were Chinese. And so, but we never look for balloons because our radars aren't trained for that. So that really was the point I was trying to drive at. I can't comment on the rest of the documentary. It has, as I said, claims from people that were former admirals, naval fighters, people with high clearances in government. Some of them are pretty spectacular claims. I'm not calling these people liars. I don't have independent knowledge that what they're saying is true. The one observation I had is we had people that did very important jobs in the U.S. government who are saying these things. So we have people with very high jobs in the U.S. government that are either A, liars, B, crazy, or C, telling the truth. And two of those three options are not good. But I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. I don't have any point of, you know, I don't want to call them liars. I just don't have any independent way to verify everything they said.
One pretty shocking revelation is how these beings, whatever they are, have allegedly interacted and spied on nuclear and military sites. Here's a quick clip from the documentary.
We've had repeated instances of something operating in the airspace over restricted nuclear facilities, and it's not ours.
They have both deactivated and activated nuclear weapons with both the United States and Russia.
These are otherworldly things that are performing maneuvers that haven't been seen.
The UAP activity surrounding nuclear weapons is not a historic issue. It's an ongoing issue.
And there are individual testaments from people talking about UAPs that they saw hovering over nuclear missile silos. It's terrifying.
There's been recurring activity over our nuclear weapons sites in this country and other countries, and over our most classified military bases all over the world. And obviously that's concerning because even if someone can't wrap your head around the fact that it's not an intelligent life and we don't know what their intentions are, the alternative is it's an adversarial nation penetrating our most secure airspace. Those are your choices.
Right. But I mean, as Rubio has said in your documentary and has said publicly as well, the Russians and the Chinese are not centuries ahead of us when it comes to this technology.
No. Secretary Rubio makes it clear in the film, as do others, that we do not know where these UAP come from.
Yeah.
But there is absolutely no reason to believe they are from the United States or another nation state.
So it's called the age of disclosure because you're basically saying we are at the very beginning now of this new age where this is accepted, no longer mocked, no longer stigmatized.
There's been a role to cover this up, you're saying, through administrations. And there have been people who have been threatened and told not to testify.
I was physically threatened even before I sent in my intelligence community inspector general report under the previous administration. I actually had to go and seek legal protection that way because I was, literally in fear both professionally and in my personal life.
And when you mentioned in that testimony of recovering the pilots or remains non-human, that's something that you saw as far as the intelligence with your eyes?
Yes. And it is a very uncomfortable, even for me now, as somebody who's seen it, experienced it, even talking about it, because it's so outside a normal person's worldview to understand that there is this biological sentience that have piloted these crafts that don't necessarily look 100% like you and I.
Were there pictures? Were there?
There were. Yes, there were.
When I said from another planet or from outer space, you said we don't know where they're from. Is it interdimensional? What are we talking about?
I've talked to a lot of, I'll call graybeards on the program. That is a subject of hot debate on origin. As a guy trained in physics formally as well in my background, I leave an open mind on what the origin is. Certainly, there is the extraterrestrial hypothesis, and they could be coming from elsewhere off Earth, but I don't usually go there because I did not see that data, and I'm not conversant in the high confidence theories that the U.S. government had.
I'm not aware of any remains that the department has of any signs of extraterrestrial beings or activity or technology.
You say we, the U.S. government knows, but there are many other governments around the world. Do they know?
They have their own programs, and like I said 2.5 years ago, we have been in arms race with our peer competitors, namely Russia and China, and they have their own programs in this regard. And I was actually able to view a body of intelligence that discussed adversarial programs, and I'll leave it at that.
We've recovered things, you say, bodies and physical remains. Was there a sense that the motive of how they got here, what they were doing, was it peaceful, not peaceful?
We've seen a mixed bag of activity, and motive and intent while they're visiting. That's once again, that gets into our assessments, not necessarily, we can't quite understand the intent of some of the sentients and why they're visiting. Could it be because we have interesting genetic material on Earth? We're a Jurassic Park tourist attraction for them. Could be a myriad of reasons.
For the other people who are coming out, you say to them what? You've obviously faced intimidation. You talked about harassment. There are reports that others have too.
I say that there's hope. Certainly, Congress values whistleblower information right now. And certainly, I believe there's an appetite with the administration to do the right thing on this as well. And there's some other things that are happening behind the scenes that I'll let the administration discuss when they're ready.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your time, and we'll follow every element. It's fascinating.
How big are the national security implications here?
They couldn't be bigger. So this race, this secret Cold War race that our nation is in with adversarial nations to reverse engineer technology of non-human origin, the stakes are far, far greater than the atomic race. One of the interview subjects refers to it as the Manhattan Project on steroids. This technology could be used to cause significant destruction, but it could also be used to revolutionize the way we live. So there's a lot of pros and cons to this race. I think we're entering an era of unprecedented transparency and disclosure, and I think it has to happen now, as the film reveals, because the stakes couldn't be higher. We are in a very significant, high-stakes Cold War race with China and Russia, most notably China, and we know their intentions are not great.
Yeah,
and it's important that we actually win this race and lead in this new era.
It's very interesting. This world where we're going through, everything we're going through, this is very unique times. Let me see if there's any breaking news. If not, we're going to go to the last show of the night. It's just my body, my neck is hurting, and it's just not feeling too good. I mean, I could add this one. I could add it up. Could do a couple of add-ons. Let's see. Okay. Just checking. I don't see too much of anything. I mean, that strong earthquake. I mean, you want to check that out? We could check out some news on that. It was a really strong earthquake. It was like a 7.6. It's a strong earthquake. But let me set it up, and then we can watch it. Wait 1 second and get them all set up here. A couple of add-ons. Because I was down to the last video of the night. I was like, maybe we can watch a couple of more things. Let's see. Okay, we can watch this one too, I guess. Okay. Resize a lot of these videos. I hope everyone's having a good evening. Hope everyone had a good day today. I just had a really busy day, and I saw the chiropractor, and my neck is just jacked up, and my back's just feeling weird, and but I did get some. I got an appointment scheduled for MRI for the 29th, and then I got some more doctors on the 30th, right before the new year. It's like trying to figure out what the hell's going on with my spine. So crazy times. I'll tell you that's for damn sure. It's crazy times. All right, which one we're going to go with first? Let's go with this one. Go with this one, and then we'll end it off with Tyson. Yeah, let's do that. I know the audio. Got to reset the audio. It always. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. You guys don't see it, but over here I get like little like warnings, like audio warnings.
What's up, Pat Spenny? Are you completely satisfied with the pipe bomber investigation? I certainly am not. What I mean by that is it just don't make no sense right now. How did they miss this guy for 5 years? His family says he's not a Trump supporter. The media says he is. He confessed the FBI doing this. All of his family members say that's impossible that he did this, but the FBI has the cell phone records, the vehicle license plate, all of the receipts for the pipe bomb evidence, and most importantly, the tracking of his movements that night, according to the cell tower pings. They say that it is absolutely him. So Brian Cole Jr. is the pipe bomber. This, well, unassuming, spectrumy black kid, which is what his family describes him as. And there's a lot of questions. This is an incredible article from Miranda Devine that sort of explains all of it and says, like, what, like, how the hell did this 30-year-old loner who lives in his mom's basement pull off the greatest mystery known to federal law enforcement? The hell is the pipe bomber? His grandmother says he's naive, almost autistic-like. He doesn't understand a lot. He's slow, his own grandmother says. Corrupted cell data. This, after all, was the FBI's managed roundup of 1,500 supporters of President Trump. They used cell phone tracking data to put a bunch of meemaws in prison. Yet with all the technical ability, Ray's FBI somehow missed the phones used by the suspect in the vicinity of the DNC and the RNC. According to the FBI documentation presented to the D.C. court, and
yeah, me too. I hate him because it's like I get a little claustrophobic.
7 data session transactions with the cell phone providers.
They got to do it from my back, so they got
told us
to
that
be
they
in that
didn't
fucking
have
machine.
the cell phone data. So who's lying? Obviously, Christopher Wray. That information was obtained by the FBI within weeks of the discovery of the pipe bombs the next day. Investigators found 186 cell phone numbers of interest, 130 devices of interest. So they knew who this was. By early February, according to the subcommittee, FBI agents had interviewed people associated with 36 of the 84 phone numbers, 186 phone numbers. 98 still required additional investigative steps. So they were narrowing it down. The FBI never told Congress what came of these leads. Then there was the curious tale of the corrupted cell phone data that turned out not to be corrupted at all. The claim came from Steve D'Antonio, head of the FBI's Washington field office, until his retirement in December 2022, who was in charge. This guy is also in charge and was responsible for the Whitmer Fednapping. He was assigned to Washington with 1 month before the 2020 election in Detroit. when he ran the disastrous Gresham Whitmer Fednapping case, resulted in multiple mistrials and acquittals because of FBI entrapment. D'Antonio, who has since found a job at a lobbying firm, also led the controversial FBI raid on Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago. He claims he opposed it, the raid, but was overruled. In any case, in 2023, D'Antonio testified before Congress claiming that the FBI received corrupted data from the pipe bomber, 3 major cell phone carriers. Couldn't find it. But that was a lie. All 3 of the cell phone carriers contacted by the new subcommittee for January 6th confirmed that they did not provide corrupted data to the FBI. The FBI never notified them of any issue with the cell phone data. Another confounding mystery in the case is that all 39,000 videos files the FBI obtained from surveillance cameras showing the suspect walking around and placing the bombs, there's not a single image released to the public that would identify the person. Why haven't they done that? All the images were low resolution, choppy. Some of them had been intentionally degraded, according to video experts and camera experts, or pixelation was added. The pixelation effect had been laid over the suspect's eyes in footage that shows him or her looking directly at the camera. So what the hell is that about? Somebody was doctoring the evidence, obviously. Diverting resources. What we know, the first few weeks of the pipe bomb investigation, the FBI was pursuing leads, but by the end of 2021, according to Loudermilk, the Bureau actively began diverting resources away from the pipe bomb investigation, demonizing Trump and his supporters, and extracting every morsel of political capital out of January 6th. Why? Because they knew that it would be very inconvenient if it was a black young man who was planting the pipe bombs who had, well, at the very least, connections to the Democrat Party, given his family has sued and President Trump works on behalf of criminals arrested by ICE and are racial justice advocates. Dan Bongino slamming the Biden administration, saying effectively they engaged in a massive cover-up involving the DC pipe bomb, and we're going to prove that cover-up right now. Dan Bongino saying the administration identified him in just months. I don't know what the hell they were doing outside of targeting political opponents. It's like they didn't want to find him. What more will we learn? Here's Bongino.
Sean, I don't know what the hell this prior leadership team was doing outside of, targeting political opponents, weaponizing the FBI, destroying its reputation, embarrassing agents that are doing really good work out there, catching terrorists, CCP spies, and everyone else. It's almost like they were intentionally trying to decimate faith in institutions. It's horrifying. I don't know what they were doing. I can tell you what happened, though, when we got there. The director and I, my first meeting, I swore in, and I kid you not, probably 15 minutes later, and the people who are in the meeting know, I said, when I get in there, I want a full brief on this pipe bomber case on day one. And I looked at the case agent after getting a full brief on what they'd done, and they had done some a pretty extensive amount of work. They had chased down, I think, thousands of leads, 6,000 plus interviews had been conducted, hundreds of tips. And it still was relatively stale, the case. And I grabbed the case agent on the way out. And I said, you're going to get me this guy. You're going to track this guy down and you're going to find him. You're going to get me this guy. I want him. And that started what's been almost a 9-month operation right now to make sure that we could get full accountability and transparency to the American public and find this guy. And today we did. But Sean, I have to add this because this is really important. You've heard all the cliches, team effort. You hear it all the time in sports. I said it today at the presser, but I want to emphasize this. This was a team. Judge Jeanine, Deputy Attorney General Blanche, people you and I know very well, AG Bondi. You cannot do anything in the FBI without DOJ process, subpoenas, drawn paper, search warrants, complaints, arrest warrants. Who do you think does that? It's not just us. We're the investigators. They're the lawyers. So that team from day one, I told Pam and Todd, I said, hey, Cash and Cash could not have been more supportive. He's like, Dan, go for it. They said, whatever you need. And their attorneys over there were amazing on this case. So that Don't just throw the team effort thing out like it's just a standard cliche. I mean it. They really did a great job.
Bongino has a good question. We all know the truth. The Biden administration intentionally abandoned their investigation. Couldn't reveal that a BLM or racial justice supporter was the actual pipe bomber. Didn't fit the narrative. They were intentionally trying to decimate faith in institutions, says Bongino. What the hell were they doing? Kash Patel says that we're going to learn a lot more about the pipe bomber and everything that transpired, but to put sort of a button on the fact that there is a media cover-up and it's still actively going on. Jake Tapper here saying that Brian Cole Jr. is white. CNN's Jake Tapper skewered for calling DC pipe bomber suspect a white man. What makes this even more hilarious is that Tapper has zero sense of humor about himself, conducts himself as the last serious journalist at CNN.
Planting pipe bombs near the Republican and Democratic National Committee headquarters the night before the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction by means of explosion. CNN observed local and federal law enforcement outside his home in Woodbridge, Virginia this morning. Attorney General Pam Bondi gave very few details about the suspect this morning, but said this cold case has been solved.
Yep. This is getting completely roasted. Jake Tapper identified 30-year-old white man. White. Tapper's dumb and blind? No. He's just programmed, like media narratives are, to be propaganda. They wanted you to think this so badly, and they kind of gave away the game here. They didn't arrest him because he didn't fit the narrative. Young black man with ties to Democrat activism doesn't fit the narrative for the January 6th pipe bomber and is going to cause a lot more questions. So that's what's actually going on here. And it is causing a lot of questions. We don't have remotely any good answers. Hopefully.
It's just crazy because they're like, this guy's a white guy, right? They're like, oh, it's a white guy, 30 years old, living with mom and dad. And this guy, he looks so skinny. His neck looks long. The guy in the video looks more like his head is more downwards. It's like he doesn't have a long neck. He's not elongated. This guy looks skinny. This guy looks tall and skinny. The guy on the camera is like no more than like 5'7", 5'8". So I'm like, I don't know. Something's not right here. I mean, they could try this guy and put him behind bars, whatever, but his bars will be more like a resort style bars because like he's more like the fall guy, Someone gotta fall, someone gotta, do the time. But they'll make it relaxful, but it's just we're living just in very unique times. Bring back accountability. We need accountability. We're never going to get accountability back. All right, let's keep it moving. We got this earthquake to review here. 7.6. That's a pretty strong earthquake. Let's listen in.
Some breaking news for you at this hour. Japan's meteorological agency is reporting a powerful earthquake off the country's northern coast. Its website suggests the tremor measured 7.6 and struck off the coast of Hokkaido. Local tsunami alerts have been issued and warnings of waves of up to 3 meters or 10 feet high. So far, there have been no warnings issued here in the United States. Obviously, we're monitoring and we'll have the details as they come in. But of course, we all remember the 2011 tsunami that happened off the coast of Japan. That earthquake was a 9.0 magnitude. It was the most
Wow.
powerful earthquake ever recorded in Japan. I remember being in the control room watching as video images came into us that evening, waves of up to 130 feet. And so it doesn't look like we're seeing anything near that right now. These are live pictures coming into the newsroom at this hour. But of course, Japan always on alert for tsunamis and the warnings of waves, because it was a devastating tsunami that struck Japan back in 2011. And you'll recall there were 3 nuclear reactors that were in great danger. I recall there were thousands of deaths, some 15,000 people died, 2,500 people went missing. The cost was almost incalculable in terms of the economic impact, something like $200 billion. It was one of the most, it was the costliest, one of the costliest natural in history. So of course, anytime that there is an earthquake off the coast of Japan and tsunami warnings are issued, we want to be alert. We want to bring you that news, which is what we're doing right now. Again, this is, if you're just joining us, a 7.0 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Japan, which we are monitoring for you at this hour.
That's wild. Mm-mm. That is crazy. I've never been through an earthquake. You know, it looks so scary. Mm-mm. A lot of people die from these earthquakes. Look at the DD treatment. He probably will. You know, he probably will. Abominable snowman. Yo, this earthquake over in Japan, this is wild. Look at that. The camera's just shaking. Pretty strong. You know, this is right after I spoke about the sun. Remember yesterday we were watching a couple of videos about the sun. I know we watched BP Earthwatch and we watched another channel. I forgot the name of the guy. And let me see, BP Earthwatch. Let me see if there's any update. Those sounds are scary. Hear that? Those sounds? That's like a very scary thing. Got a couple of add-ons. sounds just so scary to me. Every time I hear that sound, I hear that shit like warning the people. Mm-mm. So scary. As you're sleeping, it's middle of the night. Next thing you know, it's a fucking earthquake happening. That's so scary, man. That's so scary. You know, I don't know how. Look at this. Oh my god, poor fish. The fish are like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? Hell, fuck no. I'm sorry for those fishes. Those fishes had a really rocking time. Let me see. There has to be more news. Oh, CNN. Do we want to watch CNN? Uh, uh, do I really want to? Not really, but let's watch it.
It is just past midnight in Japan, where we are following breaking news there. Now, a tsunami warning has been issued after a magnitude 7.6 earthquake off the country's east coast. The earthquake struck less than an hour ago, about 70 kilometers from the Japanese coast.
So this was last night.
And our Hanako Montgomery, who is in Tokyo, Hanako also felt
Well, they're midnight. I don't know what time that is for us.
The epicenter of the 7.6 magnitude quake. Give me a rundown, Hanako, of what we know right now and what authorities are saying.
Yeah, Lainey, we know that a tsunami warning has been issued for parts of northern Japan. So that includes Aomori Prefecture, Hokkaido Prefecture, Iwate Prefecture. I think you said you had a map of right now. And I just want to point to our viewers, Hokkaido is the northernmost prefecture in Japan, and Aomori and Iwate Prefecture are directly below that. And you can see that they're very close to the epicenter where this earthquake occurred. Now, Japan is very prone to natural disasters. Experiencing earthquakes is a part of daily life here in the country. But of course, this is an extremely stressful and fearful time for many people in Japan, as this was a very large earthquake, and we are getting tsunami warnings advised now for parts of northern Japan. Now, in terms of what the Japanese government will be doing now is to update the public about these tsunami warnings, whether waves will actually hit parts of the coast, how high these waves will be, and of course, damage. We haven't heard any reports yet of official damage, official reports of damage, but of course, this is a fear, especially given that this earthquake was so large and was felt in many places across Japan, including Tokyo, where I am. Elena, you mentioned, I was in Tokyo when, of course, this earthquake happened. I was just getting ready for bed, but this earthquake, of course, kept me up, and it was very long for an earthquake. And usually in Japan, that does indicate that it was pretty large, and tremors, of course, are a fear to follow. Aftershocks, of course, are a huge concern also in Japan, given just how much seismic activity the country does feel, Eleni.
Yeah, I mean, we've also got a new video that has just come into CNN. We're going to watch it here. I haven't seen it yet, but let's listen in.
Hell no. Damn, seems pretty strong.
Wow, and you can see the chandelier there, the lights moving quite dramatically, showing the strength of
Man, he
that,
has a good chandelier that,
Hanako,
holds up
we
to
know that
it.
authorities have issued this tsunami warning.
Pretty
You
strong.
previously told me the warning is that there will be 3 meters high. The earthquake happened at around 11:15 Japan time. It is now just after midnight. How quickly do these tsunamis and these waves usually hit the coast after the warning or after the earthquake?
Yeah, Lenny, I mean, the tsunami can hit Japan's coast in mere minutes. And of course, the tsunami itself is a bit delayed after that initial earthquake, which does give residents some time to evacuate to higher ground, as the Japanese government does advise people to do. But again, it's mere minutes. So for people fleeing the coast, they will feel, of course, that time pressure, that time crunch to get to higher ground, to get to safety.
Okay.
Now, of course, when people are evacuating, the Japanese
I wanted to go
government
to
does advise
Japan
that they get their
one
food
time
bags
in my
into
life, but I
households
was like,
and have at least
now that
one
I'm
go bag,
fucked up, I
which
don't
is
feel like going
basically
nowhere.
water, emergency food,
Fuck that
key
shit.
packs, especially if they live in a
Once
cold
upon a
place.
time, I really wanted to
Northern
go
Japan,
there
where
in
this earthquake was
Australia.
very strongly felt. And of course, they will go to
But
these higher grounds
after
and
my
these
injury,
evacuation centers so that they can get more
fuck that.
information. But again, the Japanese
I
government
don't
does
want to
stress
go.
that it's important in these minutes
Only
to
place
get
I would like to go
higher
is
ground. I
Iceland.
mean, these minutes can determine
I would
whether
love
an
to go to
individual
Iceland.
lives or not. And it's really, really
Cross my
important
fingers.
to get away from
I
the
hope I
coast,
can go
to
next
get
year.
away from those potential tsunami waves, which can be, of course, deadly, Eleni.
Yeah. All right, Hanako, just hang with me. We are going to go to Derek Van
Hanging
Dam, our
from the
meteorologist based in
chandelier.
Atlanta, for an update
From the
on what we're seeing on the ground there.
chandelier.
Derek, what do you have for me?
All right, Elena, so we're
No.
getting some of these initial reports of tsunami, the initial tsunami wave heights in and around Hokkaido and within the warning areas from the Japan Meteorological Agency. The good news is that they are below what was forecast so far, roughly about a half a meter. Remember, the warning areas, which we'll show you in just one moment, call for up to 3 meters of potential
Shit, 3
tsunami
meters.
wave height with this latest
Fucking
earthquake.
swallow my fucking
So we're
roofie.
still in the early stages, very fluid and dynamic kind of moment in time right now. But what we do know is that the epicenter of this magnitude 7.6 earthquake was just offshore from the Maori prefecture. And due to its proximity, it doesn't take long for tsunami waves to actually reach the coastline. So that's why this is so critical to get this information out as soon as possible. The warnings issued right away after that initial earthquake shock, which, by the way, was felt as far inland and as far south as Tokyo. But
Damn.
reading some of the latest reports from the
Good
USGS,
distance.
there is very strong shaking felt just off the coastline of where the earthquake actually
What I
took
like
place.
about
So let's just
Tokyo
recap,
is
give
like
you a
their
little
vending
bit of a
machines are really
geographical
fucking
reference
cool.
here, right? So here's Honshu,
They have
here's
really cool
Hokkaido.
vending machines.
That's the epicenter of the 7.6 magnitude earthquake. And what's important here is the depth of the earthquake. Notice it's at 53 kilometers deep, or roughly 33 miles. That's important information too, because if it was closer to the surface, we would have less absorption or rather more wave potential. But the fact that it is that deep has the potential to absorb some of the wave energy. That's what we're hoping, right? So again, we're in the very initial stages of how this tsunami is actually unfolding in real time. So here's the latest warnings from the
7.6 is
Japan
pretty
Meteorological
strong.
Agency. Remember, this shading of red right along the coastline of Hokkaido and into northern Honshu, this area right near the epicenter, that red X, that's where the earthquake took place. You can see it's just offshore.
Yeah.
And this is the area with the most energy, the most seismic energy. So there was shaking felt on the ground right
The
around this
future.
part of Japan and into Hokkaido. However, the tsunami, or rather the earthquake, took place underwater. So that's why we have this threat of a tsunami for this location. So many of us remember the Fukushima earthquake disaster, right? With the energy plant just to the south, located right here. It looks like it's in the advisory level group here. That's the shading of yellow along the coastline. According to the Japan Meteorological Agency site, that is for tsunami wave potential up to 1 meter, but it's the shading of red closer to the epicenter of the 7.6 magnitude earthquake, where we could get those 3-meter high heights. And so far, they have come in less than what has been predicted. So how in the world, let's just step back and talk about how in the world a tsunami forms in the first place. Remember, tectonic plates, the ring of fire that circumnavigates a good portion of the globe. Well, when these earthquakes happen, we get that shift in the tectonic plates underwater. And what that does is it displaces water, it displaces energy. So at the surface level, I'll go back and replay this animation for you. At the surface level, it creates almost a ripple effect in the water. And that builds as it gets closer and more shallow water, eventually collapsing into a wave. It's not just one wave. That's often the misconception of a tsunami, not one initial wave that comes through. It is a surge of water that continues to move inland, depending on the local topography and the bathymetry of the area. So again, just to recap, Eleni, this is what we have: 7.6 magnitude earthquake. It was just offshore, but underwater. It was deep. Hopefully that will kind of absorb some of the earthquake energy. But it is critical right now that we get the information out to viewers and our international audience that tsunami warnings are in place, advisories are in place in some of these very populated parts of Japan.
So, as the federal government keeps making arrests.
Now, I don't want to see this one. I got more stuff for us to watch. Let's keep it moving. Put the volume up. The down volume. Hold on. Give me a second. I already know there's a problem because it tells me that there's a problem. So let me actually fix these videos, because these are the ones I'm going to watch next. And then we're going to wrap it up with Tyson de la Cruz. So let's come back over here. Let's work on the freaking bullshit volume situation here. Getting tired of StreamYard. I am.
December 8th, 2025. Guys, quick update. You just had to watch a 10-minute video. But I've always said the quakes can be caused, and a lot of times they are, by extreme solar activity, and we're starting to see that. But guys,
actually, you know what? Let's watch this one first, because this one's the second part of the one. So let's rewind this one. Let's bring it to this one. This is the first one. So we got to watch this one first, and then the other one second.
2025. Guys, in yesterday's video, I talked about the sunspots in the southern hemisphere of the sun, and this is the lead one right there, 4298, and you have two bigger ones here and here. And we talked about they had been quiet, the two flares, and we got one coming in tonight about midnight, or CME coming in from it was almost the next flare, M8, I think it was. Well, this is an X1.1, or it's a 1.14 technically. But guys, that's what we're talking about. You've got the Earth's connectivity point, and this thing was touching it. And the Earth is actually, the magnetic connectivity point is setting between this X flare and this much larger flare here. And we were already, again, waiting for a geomagnetic storm, possibly up to a 3, and that's what they're saying now. But this forecast, guys, is for the one from yesterday, or was it Saturday? Anyway, it was the one that was an M8, almost touching the X class flare line there. It says the full Halo CME was launched on December the 6th, 2 days ago. An M8 class solar flare from sunspot 4299. If it is as potent as NOAA thinks, it could spark auroras from the Arctic Circle to mid-latitudes in the U.S. Again, this would be sometimes around midnight tonight, East Coast time.
Oh wow!
And
Tonight
this is the current
maybe a
solar
aurora.
map right now. Again, we're not getting movies. Something's wrong with some of the equipment at SDO. They have a banner up at the top. We are getting still images, but this is 4298. It's not that large of a flare, but it's connected to the two large one. And Earth is sitting right here in this yellow area. But you got multiple polarities, blue, red here, and that's really what causes the flare. So if you think about it, the X flare came from this section as Earth was setting in, almost connecting these two spots. And again, the connectivity point is a plasma tube, just a little bit larger than our planet. It's about as large as this circle right here. And I'm going to show you where it's at now. Sitting right here between these two sunspots, almost as a conductor. But remember, every 8.2 minutes, that transfer tube called a FET will send charged particles, plasma, straight to our planet and completely engulf the sun-facing side, because this circle is way larger than the Earth. So this is the most current update from the satellites. We have a group of satellites that flies between the Earth and Sun that passes through these large plasma tubes. And it's like the umbilical cord from the Sun to the Earth. In many ways it is. And what we were seeing was yesterday, everything drifting to the right. The Sun rotates this way about every 27 days. It will have a full rotation. And so you've got these two larger sunspots that are going to cross the Earth's magnetic connectivity point with the Sun here at any minute. And these are larger and more powerful than the X.14 that we just got from 4298. Now let's go back in time. Notice here we're going to go back to yesterday. We were at the 8th, 12th, 8 right down there, 7th. And I think yesterday I backed it up to about the 6th right in here. And watch the movement. That's what we're talking about. This is Mercury's connectivity point. So let's go back forward. Watch the blue dot. That is a tube, a flux tube that's 93 million miles long. Now, you were listening to the Huskies here in the background. I guess it's time for their second snack treat for the morning. Anyway, they get together and that's their song. And all 9 of them get down on it. And then our shepherd and our white lab have learned to join in and howl with them. It's something to see. And I know our neighbors, which none of them are close, but they can hear it because they told me they could, but they don't mind it. It's just what they call the song of the people, of their people, the Huskies, Siberians. Anyway, let me move this forward. And they're getting a little quieter. Notice we go back to the 7th. Now watch the blue dot. It's touching the 14294. But as it gets centered between them, just like taking a battery cable and jumping across it, right here, it's getting 14298, excuse me, is the one we just got the flare from. And so I'm looking at really solar mechanics, I guess is what you'd call it, right there, that went past where our models are right there. You can see it's setting right between these two sunspots. So these two large ones, guys, are going to come in contact with with our Earth's Sun connectivity point. Now, it depends on how fast that happens, because even though 14298 just let out an X flare, a lot of that energy is going to go sideways. The Earth is sitting about right here. And so it's just like a basketball coming off that side there. Most of the energy will be that way. But now, again, we got it blacked out radio signals, shortwave signals, but in the ionosphere within 8.2 minutes, the same amount of time, it's called the speed of light, that it takes this transfer tube or plasma tube to transfer energy. Then it disconnects. And then I showed you in the video yesterday, all the big simulated yellow tubes, plasma tubes that dance around our planet until that 8.2 connection point, and then they're all just kind of pulled into it like a black hole, and energy pours from the sun. And really, they don't know if there's any transfer back or not. But these Spitzer satellites, I think there's 5. They fly through there and they catch this. Now, check out this Hubble image of Atlas 3I. The sun is pointed, or the sun is in this direction. This is north, this is east. Atlas 3I is moving this way. Remember, it went behind the sun, now it's moving towards Jupiter and leaving the sun behind. This should not even be there. A normal comet would blow back this way, but it would be almost an exact angle to the sun because of the ion tail. But look out front. It's not a comet. It's multiple craft within a shielded area traveling through our solar system. We've seen the craft. That had nothing to do with any AI or anything like that. It was breaking down a thermal image, simple as that. And Atlas is right here. But again, you've got, this is almost like a propulsion. Why would it be blowing out towards the sun that way? And then here, it just doesn't make sense. But that's what we have now. And if you'll, in your mind, picture the JPL model that we were looking at from the Earth's view. And Atlas came around behind the sun and then it's going off to the right, and it's going to not hit Jupiter, but now because it changed courses, it's going to come within Jupiter's heel, which is the circle of its gravitational attraction. That movement, that change, put it right into where, as someone said in the comments, it's like a slowing maneuver and turning maneuver, because it's come from I wouldn't say millions of miles, because it's 93 million miles between the Earth and the sun. So it's trillions of miles. It came through super fast. There was an image or video that I saw yesterday. It showed Atlas coming through from left to right and an asteroid coming in from right to left. But Atlas was moving a lot faster than that asteroid was. I can't remember where I saw it. If I find it, I'll get a snapshot of it. Anyway, that's what we have from Hubble. Now, this is, they took it and analyzed it and looked at it and broke it down and probably added a little coloration to it. I haven't touched this particular image with our system at all. But again, it's leaving, headed back out to space. But we're going to see what happens when it gets close to Jupiter. And that would be, like they said, if it's coming from trillions of miles, loop around the sun close enough to turn it and help turn it, because it's moving so fast and coming around that sun, help to turn it. Then it changed its direction, and it's going to be pulled and slowed down, part of it anyway, as it gets into the gravity or the heel of Jupiter. It's multiple objects. We've seen it too many times. But guys, we're watching this. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe. Again, around midnight tonight, we should start seeing possibly some stronger auroras. And if you're affected by this type of event, a geomagnetic storm, just be aware of that, guys. It's we're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.
All right, let's move on to the next video.
December 8th, 2025. Guys, quick update. You just had to watch a 10-minute video. But I've always said the quakes can be caused, and a lot of times they are, by extreme solar activity, and we're starting to see that. But guys, and someone in the comment, just as this video went up and said, BP, look at the earthquakes. So we've got a 7.6. This is location. Let me get that to stop. In Hokkaido, Japan, it is, I don't know what's going, 32 miles deep. And so when you're sitting right there that close to shore, you can get some big waves. And what they're under now is a tsunami threat. And you can see the warnings are red. You got advisory orange, watch yellow, and the possibility or a threat. It says this is issued to national authorities when a tsunami threats according to the potential hazard and impact to the people, structures, and ecosystems on land or in near-shore maritime environments. National authorities will determine the appropriate level of alert for each country and may issue additional or more refined information and instructions. Threat messages may be updated based on new information. We've seen that happen before. And you got the Hawaiian Islands out here. You got Midway. You got a lot of places opposite the coast, and we've seen big quakes do this before. Now, wasn't it
It's so far away from us, right?
The Fukushima plant.
Thinking Japan is
the
like
radiation over in the
so
California
far.
now in the
At least
form
for
of
me,
fog
it is.
and in the water.
Shit.
But guys, again, just a
in the
quick
Northeast.
heads up. Let's look at the main map. Now, this is again the 7.8, and then you've got two smaller. These are 5s, a 5.0 and a 5.5 here. And you notice it says Sendai right here, and that's where we watched during the Japanese quake, where the big tidal wave came in. You remember it went across all the big greenhouses and drowned a lot of people. It was boats going, big boats, ships moving around, sinking, going out to sea. That was Sendai, the area. So it's not very far, just around this curve. And what you got is a slip there. And when you get pressure from just built up in the Earth's crust movement, and you add that to solar pressure, and we got more coming in about midnight, that these events happen. But we're in those times right now. Again, we're going to see what information we can get. Guys, if you've got any more, let us know in the comments. Here's the area that we were watching with the big quake just a few days ago, remember? And that puts us at 2 big quakes here in the first week in December. Here we had our 7.0 right there. That was the 2025 Hubbard Glacial earthquake. I haven't heard much from that area. It's not that populated, but anything that's strong with the mountains and the snow and the rocks, it can be very dangerous. That's what we saw happen in the bay that's just south of there. Again, 7 here, or 7.6, I think it is, 7.6 here, and then the 7 here. And we got more pressure coming in tonight from the flare from 2 days ago. Now we're going to have pressure coming in once the models pick up this new X1.1 flare. But guys, we're watching it. If you've got any more information about any tsunami events that are tied to this, please put it in the comments. We appreciate it. It's a heads up. Be safe.
You're going to get more energy hitting their area, and it's only going to get worse. I feel like this is a bad time for earthquakes, and for the world. We're getting a lot of energy bombarding us. It's wild. Let's watch this here, and then we have 2 videos left, and then we're done for the night, because I already passed that 2-hour mark, and I'm dying to get out of this chair. All right, here we go.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And here's the meme of the day brought to you by 5mind.com. You were told that diversity is your strength, to just shut up and not ask questions. And boy, has that house of cards at this point totally and utterly collapsed. We were told not to ask questions, to shut up and obey. All the people being rushed into the nation, many illegally and many under false pretense. You were told that they were Americans, just like you. Americans built the country, after all. It's a nation, national state. Whatever idea you had of an American culture, well, it was simply a fever dream. Pull what spell they weave to pull this one off, to convince a nation to essentially destroy itself from within. But thankfully nowadays, it seems as though most people have snapped out of it. They've been dispelled of these la-di-da, latte liberal notions. People are starting to see the reality. This is what happens when you open your borders with absolutely no expectation to anybody, under this naive presumption that everything's just gonna work out. Well, it doesn't seem to be working, I'll tell you that much. We got some shocking videos from the Somali Minneapolis community, even some videos involving Ilhan Omar, and it all goes to show just how much of a mistake this modern liberal social experiment has been. This is the kind of stuff that rips a nation apart. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. I'll just present this clip with a couple couple words. This is late stage liberalism.
aad iyo aad baan rabaa marka ugu horeysa inaan ugu mahad celiyo runtii TV-ga qaranka iyo maamulkiisaba waa laba wax oo taariikh runtii oo aan ka sameynay gobolkeena Ohio especially khaasan magaalada Columbus marka ugu horeysa waxa way Sayid Maxamed Cabdulla Xasan waa aabihii Soomaaliya runtii waa qof maxal dhahay sharaftiisa iyo karaamadiisa qof walba oo taariikhda Soomaaliya kuma jirto marka runtii أنا وحتى صوبي
Last time I checked, I was in the United States of America.
هي أمر ودو يسوي واحد لو ما موظف بني آدم صومالية سيدنا عبد الحسن يستاهل أرونتينا كوسنو مقالة كولومبوس
infiltration, I'm telling you, that's how they come into it. It's like cancer, they infiltrate and they spread. And they try to have a lot of babies here so they can stay here. Anchor babies. I think it's time for them to go back to their country. You know? You know, they want to care so much, but go care for your country in Somalia. And you care about Somalia so much.
معها قضية مينيسوتا معها قضية المريكان قضية إلهام وقضية صوماليا.
Life here, Minneapolis.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah, ya Allah.
This is Little Mogadishu, Minneapolis, the unofficial capital of the 100,000 plus Somalis that have made Minnesota their home.
Nah, they need a. How do you think they're going to take over a city in America? Are you kidding me?
Why not? What I'm speaking now? Am I speaking for Greek? That takes time. Somalis came here 30 years ago.
You think 30 years is not enough time to assimilate?
I do not agree with the simulation. I came from Virginia previously.
Why from Virginia to Minnesota?
Well, we have more Somali, more power. We have more political power. We can have better chances here.
You know, you've lost the frickin' plot. You've lost all common sense when you've completely removed any standards to the notion itself of immigration. And of course, here's the part that the left seemingly forgot. When you naturalize, when you immigrate to another country, when you finally become a citizen and accept the passport, in most cases, you're supposed to entirely renounce all allegiances to any other foreign state. That's kind of part of the deal. That's the trade-off. You want the passport, the protection, all the generous social benefits, the incredible opportunity of being an American, the infrastructure. Well, your allegiance is supposed to be now to that nation that has wrapped its arms around you, not a foreign nation in Africa. And nobody's saying you have to forget where you came from, but to declare to the world that your allegiance is to a foreign state and not American, frankly, it should be freaking disqualifying. And that's what we've got here. We've got all kinds of people who have seemingly taken immigration oaths, Ilhan Omar herself, yet they seem totally comfortable with publicly declaring that they are Somalia first, waving Somali flags, speaking a foreign nation, singing Somali national songs. The left calls this culture, righto. It's a mosaic of culture. I call this a slap in the face to your host nation, a spit in the face to the oath that you swore. I mean, at that point, you're hardly a citizen. You're more of a glorified tourist with benefits. And so, you know, the insult goes on and on. It's not just the verbal slaps in the face, but then you've got the mass near systemic fraud, billion-dollar fraud schemes, election fraud, and electioneering. Obviously, there's an issue to look at with this particular community. It's an issue of concern, of foreign policy, of immigration policy, an issue of tax fraud to the American taxpayers. It's a multifaceted issue and a legitimate issue at that. And yet, what's the reaction from the left? Well, of course, it's as brain dead as always. Instead of addressing the actual issue itself, they immediately make the claim that this is an attack now on all black people. Mexicans join the bill too. Oh, and secular Jews, you want attack on all marginalized peoples. But of course, the key aim is to mobilize black activism in defense of the Somali community. But the whole premise, frankly, is stupid. Somalis are a microscopic slice of the population. This is not an issue of all black Americans. It's a hyper-localized problem from a particular imported community. But of course, because said community has dark pigmentation in their skin, well, all of a sudden it's an issue of civil rights. Give me a fucking break. There's no issue of racism here at all. No, the demand is actually quite simple. How about don't steal from American taxpayers? How about don't commit immigration fraud? Maybe don't steal millions of dollars and then send remittance payments, which make their way to terrorist organizations back home in Somalia. We talk about Somalia first. And of course, the absolute most basic demand, or let's call it a request, even though it should be a demand, assimilation, a basic assimilation, learn the language, adoption. But apparently,
Stephen Miller said on Thanksgiving Day, he posted, "No magic transformation occurs when failed states cross borders. At scale, migrants and their descendants recreate the conditions and terrors of their broken homelands." What do you make of this argument of failure to assimilate and sort of ruining America? How do you understand?
When I think Stephen Miller and his white supremacist rhetoric, it reminds me, it reminds me of the way the Nazis described Jewish people in Germany. And
he needs to go back to Somalia.
As we know, there have been many immigrants who've tried to come to the United States who've turned back. One of them being Jewish immigrants. We know the way that people were described who were coming from Ireland, Irish immigrants. We know the way in which people were described back then when they were Italian immigrants. And like to me, we're yes, of course, ethnically like Somali. We are in this country as Americans. Yeah. We are citizens. We are productive part of this nation, and we will continue to be.
So utterly ridiculous. And again, leaping to the racist thing, the scary boogeyman, but the ask is really not that extreme at all. Nobody is telling you that you need to be a white cis man, bleach your skin, have a sex change, wear a cowboy hat, drive a lifted F-150 and tattoo a freaking eagle on your ball sack. Nobody's saying that. No, the bar is very low. Learn the language, respect the culture, understand what made this part of the world the best place on earth in the first place. Understand the reason why you're fleeing one country to go to America is because America did it right. Try to genuinely become un-American. But no, instead we see the creation of little Mogadishu, where now police and politicians speak in Arabic to the local people. There's no respect for American cultural institutions. There's no respect for American culture, American values. No respect for the taxpayer. No respect for the programs. Just mass abuse and disrespect. And apparently demanding a little bit of respect. Just a little bit. Well, that now, according to Ilhan Omar, makes you a Nazi. I think at this point, the discussion is over. It's become untenable. It's time to accept that this naive implementation of diversity, of multiculturalism, has essentially failed on the world stage. At this point, it's time to save what's left and really think long and hard about the value proposition behind every immigrant group. And that's not racist. That's basic common sense.
And we shouldn't
Anyways, that's what I got for you guys.
Home. They should walk their ass back home. The same way they walked here, there's the same way they can walk their ass back. Why should we be paying the tab for their airfare? Fuck that shit. They came here walking, right? They crossed the border illegal. Yeah, okay. The same way you came through, the same way you go back. Pack your shit, and walk your ass right through that border and walk your ass back to your country. Shouldn't be giving them shit. Not even $1,000. Get the fuck out of here. Give me that money. Give the American people that money. Don't go giving these motherfuckers $1,000 to go back to their country. They had one long ass vacation that lasted about 5 years or more for those that are violation of their, visas. Like, there's a lot of people that are out here that are benefiting and are illegals, and they're gonna get caught and they're gonna be sent back to their countries. That enough is enough. That's it. It's like, why beat the horse? The horse is already dead. They keep beating up the dead horse. It's like, come on, man. It's like, it's crazy. All right, let's watch the last video of the night. And this one's coming from Tyson De La Cruz. So let's watch and enjoy.
First, financial concerns at the state and local level. In Baltimore City, critics are questioning millions of dollars
I know, me too, Terry.
Some of these nonprofits feel like a little
Tired
bit
of the
like
same
Al
bullshit,
Capone or
man.
something along those lines.
America, Minnesota was just the first domino to fall, and now Baltimore is next. We're watching the exact same nonprofit fraud scheme that stole over $1 billion in Minnesota.
That's crazy, man. All that money's gone. Like what? Like, and the American
We're
people
talking
don't
about
get shit back.
$56 million in taxpayer
That's
dollars
stupid,
flowing
man.
through a nonprofit with zero
They
transparency.
take from all of
one
us, but then they
employee,
give it
no
away to
website,
these
and a listed address
people
that
that don't
shares
even
an
deserve
office
it.
suite. But here's the kicker: this is
And then they
happening
talk
across
shit about
every
our country.
Democrat-run city in
Like, get the fuck
America.
out of here.
These
Go back to your
politicians
country. Go back to
create
Somalia.
BS
Have fun.
programs, hand out millions to
I don't
politically
care.
connected nonprofits that don't actually help anybody, while legitimate organizations that want to help get nothing because they're not embedded in the political class. This is the "I'll scratch your back, you make me rich" grift that's destroying American cities. And Governor Wes Moore and Mayor Brandon Scott are about to learn how to dip and dodge media questions like Timmy Tampon Walsh, Ilhan I Married My Brother Omar, and Brandon Mohawk Johnson.
Disgusting. Marry her brother, and yet still has a voice to
The
talk
governor
in the country.
awarded more than $15 million to nonprofit groups.
They know
which
that
he
she
says
did.
hold
Why
the
is she
key
still
to
here in
getting
the
this
country?
city cleaned up.
What is up, guys?
Like,
Ty
why is
Stella
people
Cruz
not being
here.
held
Thank you so
accountable?
much for rocking with me. Baltimore
Makes
is about to
zero
become another
sense.
poster child
Zero.
of how Democrats use nonprofits to funnel taxpayer money to fund their friends while their city collapses. Let me start with the most egregious example of Baltimore's nonprofit fraud, an organization called Connections Through Life that received $56.6 million in tax dollars despite having no website, one
Yeah,
employee,
crazy,
and zero
Terry, man.
transparency.
A Maryland nonprofit that received tens of millions of taxpayer dollars through Baltimore City has a series of transparency concerns that are raising alarms from some accounting experts.
This nonprofit was granted tax-exempt status in December 2021 and started receiving taxpayer money just 9 months later in September 2022. Think about that timeline here for a second, guys. From zero to $56 million in less than a year. That, my friends, is not organic growth. That is political connections.
The nonprofit does not appear to have a website. Its latest tax form for 2023 only names one employee or board member, Antoine Anderson, who is described as the president working 20 hours a week with no listed salary.
The nonprofit's listed address is in a suite that shares with the owner's for-profit firm. This, my friends, is textbook money laundering disguised as a nonprofit.
Amanda Beck is a professor at Georgia State University who specializes in nonprofit accounting and reporting. She said the lack of information about how Connections Through Life operates potentially enables a mismanagement of taxpayer dollars.
When you put tens of millions of tax dollars in the hands of non-transparent, non-elected officials, the potential for mismanagement and unfair allocation is absolutely massive. This is exactly what happened in Minnesota with the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme. And let me show you how Baltimore is following the exact same playbook that allowed Minnesota's billion-dollar fraud to happen.
In sort of a public stewardship sense, you would think that we would be able to track these dollars more easily.
In and of itself is lacking in transparency as it relates to where those grant dollars have been funneled through.
The nonprofit's tax form lists 17 grantees, but doesn't include how much money each received, which is an IRS requirement. Plus, they haven't even filed their 2024 tax form that was due back in May. This is the same lack of oversight that allowed Minnesota's fraud to continue to happen for years.
Erica Harris is a professor at Florida International University who focuses on nonprofit accounting and governance. She expressed concern about the lack of response from Anderson's organizations.
When a nonprofit handling $56 million in taxpayer funds refuses to respond to basic questions about their operations, that's not just sketchy, folks. That is evidence of fraud. What do they have to hide?
The odd thing about this organization is that it appears that all the grant monies are going to HIV organizations, but then like the overall mission of the nonprofit doesn't have anything even to do with healthcare.
Here's another red flag, you guys. The nonprofit's stated mission has nothing to do with healthcare. This suggests the nonprofit is just a pass-through entity designed to obstruct where taxpayer money is actually going. But connections through life isn't the only problem. Baltimore has been pumping millions and millions
you're
of dollars
lucky,
into nonprofits
Mary.
that aren't even complying with basic state
You're
laws.
lucky to be
In
out of
Baltimore
that
City,
place.
critics are questioning millions of dollars spent or sent to nonprofits that might not be in compliance with the state.
And at the state level, mismanagement could be costing Maryland millions.
Well, you know, each one of these files represents a nonprofit in Baltimore that is not in compliance with state law, but it hasn't slowed the pipeline of public funding from leaders who say no compliance, no problem.
23 nonprofits have received over $26 million in city tax dollars over the past 3 years. Yet all of them, and I mean all of them, have failed to comply with Maryland's solicitation laws. The state has deemed them all delinquent, but the money just keeps on flowing.
Take, for instance, the Greater Baltimore Urban League. In the past 2 years, the city has pumped close to $1 million into its coffers. But the problem is, it's been years since the Urban League has complied with the laws governing nonprofits in this state. And the state has deemed the Urban League delinquent.
Charm City Care got $946,000. Baltimore Medical Systems received $3.2 million. Project Plays got $10.6 million. All, and I mean all, while failing to file required financial reports.
Nonprofits are required to register each year with Maryland's Secretary of State and file updated financial reports. But we found 23 who appear to have snubbed the state while accepting millions in tax dollars from the city.
Frankly, some of these nonprofits feel like a little bit like Al Capone or something along those lines, where they feel like they can do whatever they want.
This is exactly what I've been talking about, you guys. The grift train, where politically connected organizations get rich while ignoring basic accountability. Now, let me show you what happens to legitimate nonprofits that actually want to help people and follow the law. They get nothing.
In East Baltimore, a transformation is underway.
Got quite a bit of space to help a lot of people, and that's the goal.
This half-century-old building will soon become home to 40 men who are fresh out of prison.
And then we have rooms here. We have one
How you gonna put 40 men in a
Marlo Hargrove's nonprofit, the FACE organization, provides assistance to ex-offenders.
The FACE organization has been helping ex-offenders for 23 years, providing housing and support services. They're fully compliant with all state laws and regulations, but every single application for the city funding has been denied.
We reached out to Muncie. We reached out to the Baltimore City Hall. And as we reached out, it was like, you're doing a great job. Keep up the great work. But then you see that big old word, unfortunately.
Meanwhile, nonprofits that don't even comply with state law are getting millions and millions of dollars.
I think it's disheartening, and it's a sad situation that organizations, not just the FACE organization, but others as well who's doing phenomenal work. We don't even get a seat at the table and or get recognized.
This is the same system I've seen play out in my own city. If you're not embedded in the political class or working with somebody who is, you get nothing. It doesn't matter how good your work is or how compliant you are with the law. What matters is who you know and who you're willing to kick back money to. Let's talk about what happens when these politically connected nonprofits can't maintain the facade anymore. They just fold and disappear with taxpayer money.
A Maryland nonprofit is planning to end its management services for local charities.
Fusion Partnership announced that they're ending their fiscal sponsor program after more than 2 decades, despite receiving millions and millions of dollars in federal, state, and local taxpayer funds. They operated as a middleman between government agencies and grassroots organizations. A 2022 audit showed Fusion received nearly $1.5 million in taxpayer dollars from multiple federal agencies. But then a 2023 audit found 5 significant deficiencies in how they approved payments and issued financial reports.
Fusion is not the first fiscal sponsor program to fold in Baltimore. Strong City Baltimore folded in 2021 after facing similar struggles, and Thrive Arts folded in 2023 after operating for only 18 months.
This is a pattern. Get taxpayer money, operate for a few years, then disappear when scrutiny increases. For those of you that don't know, let me tell you about the Safe Street program, because this shows how deep the corruption goes in Baltimore's nonprofit system.
State's Attorney Ivan Bates is pushing for transparency for the Safe Streets program after courtroom audio reveals Some people may be trying to use their affiliation with the program to their advantage.
We just witnessed 2 Safe Street employees dealing drugs while on the job. Now, Baltimore state attorney discovered that people are falsely claiming that they work for Safe Street in court to get lighter sentences or bail. They are committing perjury by saying that they're violence interceptors when they're not even employed by the program.
Now, because they're not city employees, when you go in front of the court and you're not a Safe Streets worker, but you've said you are, you've perpetrated fraud in the court. Now I always have to open investigations to figure out what's really happening.
This is what happens when you create these unaccountable nonprofit programs. Criminals figure out how to exploit them for their personal benefit while taxpayers fund the whole scam. So let me ask the obvious question that Wes Moore and Mayor Brandon Scott don't want to answer. Where's all the money going? We have $56 million flowing through a nonprofit with 1 employee and 0 transparency. We have $26 million going to nonprofits that don't comply with state law. We have fiscal sponsors folding after receiving millions in federal grants. We have people committing perjury to claim affiliation with Safe Street. This is the same pattern that we saw in Minnesota. Create programs with minimal oversight, funnel money to the politically connected nonprofits, ignore red flags and compliance failures, then act shocked when massive fraud is uncovered. The difference between Minnesota and Baltimore is that they're seemingly catching Baltimore's fraud in an earlier cycle. Minnesota's scheme ran for years before federal prosecutors stepped in. Baltimore's scheme is being exposed now, which means there's still a lot of time to stop it. But that requires political will from leaders like Wes Moore, Brandon Scott, and based on their response so far, they're more interested in protecting the system than actually fixing it. They're learning how to dodge media questions from Timmy Tampon Walls, Ilhan I Married My Brother Omar, and Brandon Mohawk Johnson. Deflect, deny, and accuse critics of racism. America, what we're seeing in Baltimore is the inevitable result of Democrat governance. Create programs with no accountability, funnel money to politically connected nonprofits, ignore compliance failures, and attack anyone who questions the system as a racist. Minnesota was the first domino to fall with over $1 billion stolen. Baltimore is next with tens of millions flowing through fraudulent nonprofits. This pattern exists in every Democrat-run city in America: Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and the legitimate nonprofits that actually want to help people are getting nothing because they're not embedded in the political class. The fraudulent nonprofits that exist only to enrich their founders get millions because they know how to play the game. This is the classic "I'll scratch your back, you make me rich" system that's destroying American cities. Politicians create BS programs, hand out money to their friends, and everybody gets rich except for the people these programs are supposed to help. Wes Moore and Brandon Scott need to answer one simple question: where's all the money going? If they can't or won't answer that question, then they're actually part of the problem. The nonprofit grift train needs to end now. Federal prosecutors need to investigate Baltimore the same way they investigated Minnesota. Every nonprofit receiving taxpayer dollars needs to be audited. Every politician who approved these grants needs to explain their decision making. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, I think a lot of money going to the nonprofit and money's not going to the proper channels, and you have opportunistic individuals coming in and swooping in and taking that money. You know, the crooks are going to find their way to try to get that money, and they are very relentless and they are very successful. And you know, and when is accountability gonna be gonna be held to the highest level? You know, because right now there's no accountability. Everyone, it's like a free for all. It's like they tapered into this opportunistic virus and took all that PPE money, and they splurged on themselves. They were like, "Oh yeah, we're opening up feeding organization to feed the hungry kids," and come to find out, no one got fed. No kid got fed, but they sure cashed those checks. Yeah, okay. It's just crazy. We're living in a very weird timeline, and I am going to go to sleep and then wake up to another beautiful day again, and it's like a repeat over and over. It's like Groundhog's Day, right? We go to sleep, wake up, and we're like, oh shit, we gotta do this shit all over again, and then you just constantly over and over and over and over and over, and people make mistakes every single day. Every day. We go to sleep, we wake up, and it's like 1/3 of the population makes mistakes. Like, what's going on? And it's like every day, and it's so wild. I'll never get it. But what I am getting is tired. So I want to wish you guys a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night. And I'll catch y'all on the flip side. And I'll be back on tomorrow. Do this all over again. I'm just really tired. I went to the chiropractor, like I said, and they really worked on me really good. And I'm really sore. I'm tired. And get some rest tonight, everyone. You guys deserve it. With that said, peace for now. See y'all later. Bye.